Basically, you definitely just want that, right?
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, I'm confident.
Infectious disease podcast.
All right, everybody, we're gonna get started now. Sound professional. I get nervous when we start. I need to loosen up.
I gotta stretch.
Check. 1, 2, 3. Here we go. Cheers again.
What is this episode?
I think this is gonna be episode. I'm not sure. 7, 8,
On this
9?
episode,
9. I think this is 9. So,
Yeah.
all right, everybody.
Single digits.
Single digits. Last one. Welcome to Time Versus Club. My name's Eddie. Tonight I am in the ABQ. I am in the Land of Enchantment. I am in Duke City. I am in the Burke. I am in what other fucking names?
Albuquerque.
Albuquerque, New Mexico.
No, Albuquerque
Albuquerque.
is how some people say it.
Yeah, some of the guys from Southeast Asia that I work with,
Albuquerque.
they dropped the...
So I spent a lovely week here with friends visiting. Special guest Ben. Repeat that one out. And Nina. I can't even say your last name, so I'm not even gonna try.
Oh,
Luckily
great.
for you, I can't even say it.
That's awesome.
So why do we have so many names for Albuquerque? That's the first thing I want to talk about. I find it very disconcerting.
Don't a lot of cities have a ton of names, though?
Like
No,
Albuquerque.
LA doesn't have a
Well,
bunch of
LA
different-
does.
LA's got City of
Land,
Angels,
City of Angels.
East Los, but that's like different communities. Where's Duke City come from?
Because we were the Dukes. That was our mascot for the baseball team.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
But
Oh,
I thought I thought they were the Dukes because we were called the Duke City for some other reason.
Yeah,
Anyway,
like where does Duke City
that's a
come
question
from,
for the
right?
internet. I don't have the answer for that one. Yeah,
So,
I don't know.
Okay.
And our phones are banned.
Banned. Your phone's are banned. That's right.
That's right.
So we can't look it up.
Can't phone a friend.
You could. And so we're drinking some. I keep
James.
telling myself on every episode that it's a bad idea to drink. The last one was such a disaster. It went off the rails. We started drinking before we got started, and then we just kept on pouring. I think we went to 3 bottles of wine.
Well,
It was terrible.
We'll go easy on this one.
Yeah, this is all I'm having tonight.
We'll see how that prediction holds.
And I keep making terrible mistakes. So,
you haven't made one on this trip.
have I?
You have not.
Terrible mistakes? No.
No, it's been... I hesitate to... It's been relatively terrible mistake for
I
me.
haven't broken anything terribly so far. Although I think I broke one thing. I'm just not sure if it was broken before I got here or if I broke it.
Was it in your bedroom?
Possibly.
So you're keeping this as a secret until you...
I'm letting it out in public right now.
Yeah,
But like I said, I'm not sure if that happened or not.
that's all right. There's a lot of broken stuff. in
There's
this
a lot
house.
of broken things in this house, so.
It just isn't as tight as it should be, basically. The doorknob.
Oh no, that was broken.
So I was walking with the
I don't think that
computer.
counts as broken.
And I picked up the computer and I didn't close it. And I had my iPhone plugged into it with the cable charging. As I'm walking around, it's kind of dark. I turn off the light and I turn my corner and I guess the cable
Grabbed it.
grabbed it and it went, oh, and I dropped the laptop. I was like, no,
Oh, no.
oh, damn. And then I started picking it up and I realized that the whole door now, it seems like it's falling apart. I was like, fuck.
No, it's been like that
No,
forever.
it's really.
Okay, see? So I was right.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure
No.
if it broke or didn't break, so. And if there's like a long 30-minute or 30-second silence, it's okay. It'll cut off. It'll sound totally natural.
Okay.
So don't feel like, oh, we gotta keep talking the whole time. We could just shut up. In fact, we could even stop it and go and do something else and come back to it.
Alright.
Usually that involves drinking and
Going to the bathroom?
no, it just involves drinking. And we don't come back to it. So
Other pursuits.
Other pursuits. So
I gotcha.
I'm glad I'm here. I'm glad you guys had me over. And
Why did you decide to come out?
I've been trying to come for like a long time. If I feel like me and Ben, Ben's like, oh, you need to come. And I was like, Ben thinks I'm an asshole because I always keep saying I'm gonna go and I don't go. and it doesn't work out, and I can't plan it out with work and whatnot. And I was like, I gotta go this year. I gotta go. You know.
Yeah.
So there wasn't any one thing that was like, I'm gonna go. Why did you happen to come out for his birthday? Did you know that?
I didn't know it was his birthday.
Oh.
That was a happy coincidence. So Ben had a big birthday party, and I happened to be here for that party, which was worked out really good.
And you were actually kind of the catalyst for the party because
Yes.
I had kind of like it was I'm turning 40, and so it's like I don't know if I want to have a ton of people and do this big party thing and whatever else, or just kind of let it slide by. And so then Eddie was like, "Oh, how about I come out this weekend?" And
Yeah.
and I was like, "Well, I guess that's decided. We're gonna have a party." Cause,
It's a good reason to have a party.
yeah, and it's awesome.
It was a great party. There was a lot of people here. It was really fun.
There were tons of our friends, and then like a bunch of my friends that I hadn't seen in ages. It was
People were
it was
crying.
good.
Some
Yeah, it
people from the internet that we know were crying because I don't know why.
I didn't see any of
Instantly.
the crying.
Instantly, as soon as he
Instantly walked in the door crying.
Yeah, I don't
Tears.
know how that worked out. Like I got kind of weird. Like, what's going on? Why is she crying?
Oh. Well,
But they were happy tears apparently.
Apparently, they were happy tears. Happy tears. So how long have I known you for, Ben? How long have we met? This art story is pretty interesting.
Yeah, I think it was. I'd have to go look at the dates on the photos, which
Oh,
is
no, we
which
did
is
have
the
a
only
date.
way that I know how anything happened in my life is
We're
because there's a photo of it.
photographers. I met Ben.
I'm gonna say
online.
2007.
No,
you weren't
8.
here. So it has have to be 2008. And how long had you been here?
I don't know if it was actually 2008 when I met you, though. I moved to New Mexico in 2008.
Okay.
But I think I met you in 2009. Because I think I was already living here in Albuquerque. And I wasn't living here then until after.
I'm trying to remember if you
2009.
were living here or if you had come down from Santa Fe for the meetup.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think so, though. Because I wouldn't have come by myself.
With your
Why?
ridiculous hat.
would you
Right, with my ridiculous hat. Because I had a girlfriend at the time, and that's part of the reason I was in Santa Fe.
I would
yeah.
love to hear that story.
Oh my god. That one might be... What part do you want to hear?
So I want to know what happened to that relationship and why apparently you had
Burned in disastrous flames.
but apparently you moved here because of her.
Yeah, that's true. That's kind of crazy, right? I can't believe I did that.
Yes.
I do things
How did
that I
you
don't
know
necessarily
her?
know from the internet.
Which is even crazier.
Which is even crazier, I agree. And why would I do that for someone? Like, I think about it now, like,
That
it's such a bad idea.
that you've never.
It was such a bad idea, and I knew it was a bad idea, but I still did it. I think part of me just wanted to leave, wanted to go away. I was restless, and it was a good excuse to go somewhere completely new, completely different. Almost with the anticipation that it was going to go wrong,
Interesting.
right? I mean, it's
Really interesting.
In some part of my head, I realized that, well, because it's like I'm betting on something, right? And then I'm betting on a horse that I'm not sure about this horse, but you know what? I'm gonna take the bet anyways, just for fun.
It was going to go one way or the other, right? It was either going to be this incredible story of how you met the love of your life on the internet,
Right.
or something else.
The whole shit went wrong in 2 months, and I got kicked out while I was out traveling for work. That was something else.
Yeah, right.
Kicked out while I was so like when I flew back to Albuquerque, my car was there. I had my car, I had my laptop, I had my stuff for like 2 weeks of work. So I had some clothes and some stuff, but I had no place to go. And my stuff was in storage apparently. But what was I gonna do with that stuff in storage? I had no place to take it, right? Because
Right.
I didn't live anywhere.
So like you were locked out when you got back, or she had just put all your stuff
She
in the
put all
car,
my
or
stuff
what?
in storage.
She had put your stuff in storage.
She called a storage place. Got
What
all my
did you
stuff out.
do?
Nothing. I was just me. I was gonna come back to her. You know what I mean? Like I wasn't doing anything wrong. I wasn't.
There wasn't a fight.
There wasn't a fight. Well, I'm sure there was plenty of fights,
Okay.
but there wasn't one particular thing. She was just angry because I was mean. For the most part, I would say she was really insecure. She was older, so she was definitely very insecure. And when I got here, I mean, when I met Josette, right? She's like, oh, what's wrong with this lady? Josette's super friendly. I mean, you guys,
Yeah.
right? And clearly, she's like not someone I'm like trying to date, right? Like, and she had someone else,
Right.
but this girl like hated her and hated everyone.
So
And
she was jealous even of
She was
people
just
that
jealous of like
there's no
attention,
reason.
like
Yeah.
my attention not being on her, and it was crazy. So I'll tell you a story of how I feel she was very just unfair, I think, to me, right? So when I moved, my mom was very upset, and I told her I promised her I buy a webcam so we can webcam and we could Skype and see each other just like you would, right? If you live somewhere far away from someone, right? I Skyped with her. I Skyped with my friend from Sweden and my other friend from Canada. 3 people I Skyped with at that point, right? And I bought the camera here in somewhere in Santa Fe. Like I bought it here for that purpose. And this guy, anyone else, but my girlfriend at the time thought I was like, oh, talking to girls, blah 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 blah. Dude, it's like, dude.
Right.
I was like sitting at home. Why would I be doing that? I moved 2 fucking states for you across, some shit fucking town that I don't even, I don't know anyone else here. Like, what more do I have to do to prove to you that I'm like here for you?
Right.
Right? Like, I was like, it blew my mind. Like, I didn't understand. Like, why are you even like suspecting me? I'm gonna come all the way over here, move into your house, and try to cheat on you as soon as I get here
on the internet.
On the internet. What the fuck?
Hey, that's how you guys met.
Yeah, but I was different. I was single. I was not, It was crazy. Like I didn't even. It was really hard for me to understand how someone was so insecure. And I feel I'm pretty insecure, but holy shit, this was like another level, right?
Was she from New Mexico?
Originally, no, but she had been here like for 10 years in Santa Fe. So
what made you feel like you were going to take a chance? Like, how did she make you feel like you want to take a chance on her?
it was exciting. It was fun. I'm all about like the rush.
Well, how did you meet online?
So, probably Flickr.
Oh.
I think it was. Oh no. It was another website, Etsy. So it wasn't even a dating website.
Oh my
right?
God.
It was like selling. I used to sell my photographs on there. Yeah, it's crazy, right? Trust me, my story is crazy. It's totally crazy.
So you started talking?
Yeah.
Where does the conversation go? I want to buy a photo.
Oh, to be honest with you, I would tell you I just don't remember. Those conversations are so old. Those are like 2007, probably. They were a while ago. That particular conversation.
Well,
right?
call me old-fashioned, but if I meet a person, I usually want to
talk to them.
And meet them and know them and be in their space and
trust me, I want that. That's why I moved. So I could be in their space. I was up in her space. I visited once. I did come visit. I did, and I probably that. I mean,
there were probably flags.
And my rational sense said that was fucking awesome. Ed, you had a great time. Do what you're gonna do. Stay in touch, but don't bet the bank on this, right? Like, that's what I should have done. I mean, even then, I thought, that's probably what I should do. But I didn't.
Right.
I went with the completely irrational, bad idea,
Which is how relationships are sometimes.
Bet. I had like 1% chance. Like, what's that Dumb and Dumber? He's like, there's 1% chance. Like, you mean I have a chance?
You mean there's
I went with that part. You mean I have a chance? I went with that. Okay. With the intention, with the, like, somewhere in me, I knew that it could go wrong. I mean, obviously, it could always go wrong, right? But
so little did you know at that point
that she was a fucking crazy bitch.
That she was a crazy bitch, but that
and she couldn't get along with anyone else. Like, we were here in the group, she would be outside smoking, being mad at me.
Did she hang out? Did you hang out with her friends?
Yeah, of course. I'm awesome.
And they were fine.
Yeah, they love me.
Did you like her friends?
They weren't terrible.
And she was alright with that.
Yeah, of course.
Being in like her world and her friends.
Yeah.
It was just if
and
you wanted
as a matter of
to
fact, for Thanksgiving we went to Denver, right, with one of her friends who had spent like 5 years in Chile, and he moved because of George Bush. Remember we were talking about someone moved out of the country? Yeah. So he was totally cool. He rode a bike. I hung out with him. He had friends from Chile that were in town to visit, a guy and a girl. They were boyfriend and girlfriend, and we were hanging out, shooting the shit. We were enjoying it, and we were having a good time talking and drinking. And she couldn't handle that. That was bothering her. She was getting jealous of this girl. And because she was from Chile, she didn't grow up here, so she didn't know a lot of stuff. Like, I think the conversation or the topic was something about, what was it? Some schoolyard activity like kickball or something that kids do here, right? Like some sport. And they didn't have that in Chile. And she's like, what do you mean I don't have that? And then she was like, she's like, no, I don't know. I don't understand. So like, I'm like watching this like cultural difference, like, so I go to try to bridge the gap. I grab her. I was like, hey, I didn't even think I touched her. I was like, hey, Chile, they probably only had soccer. That's all they played. It's a poor country. They didn't have all these other things that we have here in America growing up here. And she didn't like that. That like flew off the lid.
Because you touched her.
I touched my girlfriend.
Oh.
You know, I told her like, hey, you know, I'm trying to. You're not understanding what she's saying, and her English was a little bit broken, right?
Right.
They didn't have that experience growing up. You don't realize that's your world is not the same as everyone else's world.
Mm.
And she fucking flipped out the whole night, like flipped out. And her friend who lived there, who we went to go visit, I ended up saying, you know what, fucking this is bullshit. I'm going to sleep. I'm out. Let them fight. Do it. You know. And then his friends left because they seen everything go weird. Now, it didn't happen like that in 2 seconds, but it happened through the course of the night. And when I went to sleep, I could hear her arguing with her friend who went to go visit, and he was like literally defending me. He's like, he didn't do anything wrong. I don't know what, you know. He was basically defending my position, and she was just like, finally he convinced her, you know, you're crazy. It was nuts. And she came in, she said, I'm so sorry. I was crying.
Oh.
But that was a regular occurrence, and I was like, this is crazy. Like, this is not going to work. This is, you know, this person is not stable. This person is not cool. I could get along with all her friends, but she couldn't come meet like one of my friends.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I'm there because I didn't know anyone. I was trying to make friends, right? That's why I ended up getting in that social group, that Flickr photo group, and because I live in Santa Fe, I couldn't make it down to like the 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock ones because I had to work and it was all day. But I came down to that first one where I met Josette, and I don't think when I met you, I was already living in Albuquerque.
Yeah, probably.
Sure.
So, what made you fall in love with her, and what was?
I don't know. I mean.
But what was she? I mean, there must have been some redeeming quality.
Yeah, it was it was intriguing. She was fun. She was an artist. She was interesting. You know.
How much older?
At the time it was a 7-year difference.
No, that's not too bad.
That's not too bad.
7's a lot.
7 can be a lot.
5 is like for us. 5 is it's manageable because I'm a little bit retarded in my development, so we're kind of on the same page a lot of the time. But 7's pushing the limits, I think.
Yeah. I don't know about limits. It just depends on the person.
Sure, for sure.
She could have been totally different. She could have been totally cool, and I might have not moved away. Like, I don't know. Like,
no, that's a good point.
That has nothing to do with age. I'll take that back. I don't think that has to do with the number of differences. Because she was as old as she was, she felt very insecure because she was looking older. She was aging, and she felt risky. And I was still look really young. Okay. I still look young now, but I look really young then still, right?
Yes, you look very young.
So, you know, I don't know. Like I felt that was pretty terrible. Like I didn't feel like I deserved any of that. Like I didn't do anything wrong. I wasn't talking. I wasn't trying. You know, I wasn't a bad person, right? To be like treated like shit like that. Like I just wasn't. And I've done plenty of things that are bad, and I've done shitty things to shitty people,
but
to other girlfriends.
In this case,
I just didn't. I mean, I can't even imagine what stories she tells her friends, but this is what happened, you know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't do anything wrong, and I didn't do anything worthy of such treatment. So, but on the positive side, I don't regret it because I made really good friends. You know, I met Ben, I met Mark, I met Jose, I met all these other people. I'm still here. I'm coming back 6-7 years later. I drove by my apartment today in Albuquerque down by the 25 and the 40. It was kind of neat. We drove into the whole apartment complex and went right in. And I was like, I wonder if I can remember exactly the apartment it is because there's a huge complex.
Yeah.
Sure enough, I was like, that's where I lived right there. First floor, I could find it, which was cool. I think I'm gonna have to go drive to the other one where I lived on the west side because I think I could find it.
Yeah. Did it like bring back any memories, stuff you'd forgotten until you saw that apartment again?
It really looked very different. It felt very different, yeah. In the place that they shot the Breaking Bad, the meth lab, Gus's laundromat place, I lived like a few blocks from it. That's where I was like, I was close to it on the other side of the freeway. I was like, holy shit! I drove down the street plenty of times. It was crazy. Like because this town's not that big, right? Like all these places.
Yeah.
The car wash. I was there. You know.
I lived in one. I might have told you this before. I lived in one of the apartments that was on the show. Spoilers for anyone who hasn't seen the show.
That's their problem. They should have watched it by now.
I know.
So Jesse's girlfriend.
Oh, you went. I seen that one too.
The when she ODs.
Yeah.
So that apartment, they used the building that it was in, and they took two different apartments and cut it together. But where the bed is when she ODs in the back, and the room that the dad comes into.
Yeah.
Like to find her, that was my room, and that's where my bed was.
Holy
in that
shit.
room. Yeah,
that's
when
crazy.
Walter White is looking over her and she's
or whoever it is that comes in. I can't remember if it was her dad or somebody comes in to the room through the back door. Is it
Walter White?
He looks at her and he sees her OD and he doesn't do anything.
Right, that's right.
He chooses to leave her instead of
that's right.
kicking her. Wow.
Yeah. So that room, like that back porch, I used to sit out there and hang out and drink a beer with my friends and smoke. And
that's too funny.
Yeah.
So I have some New Mexican locals and a real New Mexican here. And part of my what I want to do now is like, because I lived here for that 1 year and I managed to get out the fuck out really quick, you know, is figure out how people come here and get here and how they get stuck here.
So
you were born here.
I was born and raised here, and I think that your attempt to move here for a short period was the land of enchantment trying to entrap you.
Trying to enchant me.
And entrap you.
Yeah. That's why it's called the land of enchantment, right?
Yeah, that's its nickname. We were unsuccessful in your case.
Yeah. I was too strong. What is it? Like, what is it that people can stay in? Like, I couldn't. Like, I had to leave. Like, I still want to come back. I enjoy it. Like, it's nice. Like, I don't know. I feels really weird kind of being back. Like, just like driving around. I don't know why. Like a weird dream I had like lasted like a long time. You know. Because like for a good part of it, I wasn't not happy. I was like, it was rough, right? Being here by yourself. Like, it was.
I know a lot of people that say the same thing.
It was rough. I struggled at first, right? Like I was like, and I tried really hard to make friends, and that's why it's like, you guys think of me as someone like, oh, you guys, you know, you can just show up and be friends. Everyone's like, no, I went out of my way, put in the fucking gears to like make this happen, because otherwise I would have been by myself, right?
Yeah,
it's not easy for me.
I think for some of those people, they didn't try hard to get out. I mean, you obviously were like.
I had a way out too, obviously. I mean,
yeah, you had a place to go back.
Some people are running from things, or I mean, maybe even subconsciously, just like you said, you wanted to change.
Yeah, I definitely did. I gotta change.
And once you arrive here, it's pretty easy. Like
to stay here,
to live here.
It's
the cost of living is low. It's easy to get around. It doesn't take much, and you can hide here pretty easily.
And there's fucking crazy people all around you, so you just blend right in.
So you just blend right in, or you lock your doors?
Lock your doors.
Go into your house and lock your doors. And
so you were born and raised here. That's so crazy.
I was. As the first generation that was born in the U.S.
Wow. But Ben was not born and raised here. But you've been here for like what?
I've been here since 1993. Like I came down here to go to New Mexico Tech in Socorro and went down there for a year, which is a small town. But I had lived in small towns before, so that wasn't too crazy. But yeah, it was an interesting experience.
But you're originally from, where were you born?
Born in Australia and lived there until I was 13.
And I just remembered where you were born. It was called Townsville.
That is correct. Yes. Yeah, they were out of creative names, so they were like, let's take a prefix and a suffix that basically mean town and shove them together. And yeah, I didn't live there. I lived in my dad was a geologist. So
does that mean you traveled a lot because he was jealous, or like how did that work?
We did travel a lot, but I lived the first 2 years of my life. He was working like in a camp, like literally like tents, no electricity, no running water, no whatever. Just like, you know, him and some other guys and my mom.
That doesn't sound right.
Yeah, that doesn't sound right. Was it just your mother?
Let's try that the other way. Him and my mom and some other guys. That sounds better. Yeah, no, I think
Was she the only woman?
There might have been another guy who had a girlfriend who'd come out occasionally, but I think he was the only one who was married at the time. They were all young.
Like, so he got to have his wife there. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, they were in their 20s.
Well, he was like
he was the head geologist. So, but you know, when my mom got pregnant, they went back into town to a hospital. Obviously, like had me stay there until I got a little bit older. But there's photos of me like in a crib and it's just on the ground in the dirt. And
You're in a pile of rocks.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. For the first couple of years of my life. And I don't remember that, obviously. And then they moved to another city in South Australia called Adelaide, and we lived there until I was... until like
there.
5th grade, yeah.
I really want to go there.
I hear that seems to be another major city in Australia.
Yeah, I mean, there's a bunch, right? But
well, no, there's only a couple as far as like someone doesn't live there, right? Like
sure.
Sydney,
Melbourne.
There's
Melbourne.
one for each state, basically.
Is there an Adelaide? One of them,
much.
right? Is that on the Gold Coast?
No, Adelaide's down South Australia.
And then Perth.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
the other
basically,
one.
those are like the only few that I can think of, like when you think major cities, like from someone that's never been there before.
Yeah, no,
to be honest, I don't know much about Australia. I don't know very
For
well.
sure, yeah, and really Sydney and Melbourne are the only ones that would qualify as major cities on the U.S. standard. Brisbane,
yeah, that's one other one too.
Maybe, but I haven't been to Brisbane in a long time. So.
Right. Yeah, like when I go travel, they'll be like, "Oh, where are you from?" You're from California, or they'll think California is like a city or Los Angeles is a state. You know, like they don't know, right? Because they're from somewhere else and they don't know the geography. They don't study it. So
yeah.
And then you made it here you made it to North America because your father's a geologist.
Yeah,
as well.
it was a long swim, but yeah, because he was a geologist. He was working for an Australian company, and they were doing some exploration deals with some U.S. companies to kind of look at some old leases, things that have been explored, or things that got overlooked, like back in the 1800s.
And you were living in Denver before that, before you came to New Mexico?
Yeah, we moved to Denver in '89.
So when did you meet Nina? Because you guys have been together for a long time.
Yeah. We met in '99.
Yeah, in the spring of '99.
So hold on. You lived here for a while before you met her. Is that true?
Yeah, I lived here from '93 until until '99 when we met.
Was that after you finished school and all that jazz?
No, I didn't. No. I still hadn't finished school. Okay. I was on the 6-year bachelor's degree
from UNM.
I changed majors like 5 times. So
yeah. Okay.
I went from environmental engineering at Tech to journalism to I was going to do something else briefly, but I don't even remember what it was.
It wasn't it.
Then I was like, I'm going to do a lit degree. Then I was like, I don't want to do the foreign language requirement, so I'll just do a university studies degree. So I'll take all the courses that I would take for a lit degree, but I just won't have to take a foreign language and some of the other crap.
But that's how stubborn this man is that he could have gotten actually 3 different degrees, but because he didn't want to speak a foreign language
or do math.
It's not that I didn't want to speak a foreign language. I don't have any like cultural or racist anti-speaking a foreign language. It's that I wanted to use that time to study other things. I was more interested in in art history or other things.
However many 6 credits in a foreign language, and you could have gotten a degree in.
Yeah, but that's 6 credits that I was taking some other stuff that I was more interested in.
It's 2 classes.
It's not like I had 6 years.
It's not like you could have kept going.
In hindsight, for sure, it would have made much more sense.
But we met in '99, right before you graduated, as a year.
Yeah, I mean, we had been friends off and on for, it might have been longer than that.
So you had mutual friends or something like that?
Our best friends dated each other. And
that's right.
Yeah.
That's how we got to know each other.
And she chased you down in a car while you were doing a pizza delivery, which is something I really want to talk about because your pizza delivery seems to be perfect for the 505.
He's got a lot of good stories.
What would you say your best story is? Your best pizza delivery story?
Scary or cool or...
So I would categorize
because there's a lot of terrible things that I'm just like, that was just awful. I didn't even want to think about that anymore.
Yeah, those are ones where you got beat up or punched or robbed. Yeah. But then you got the really weird ones, right?
He's got a really great story about the car flipping over.
Yeah, the car flipping over is good. I think my favorite thing that happened to me. I mean,
favorite thing that happened to me.
The car flipping over is not my favorite thing, but my favorite thing is we deliver to all kinds of people, poor, rich, young, old, whatever, drunk.
Everyone loves pizza.
Stoned, yeah, it doesn't matter. So you see, and that's I think the thing that I mean, it was a good gig as far as decent money and flexible hours. If you're at all good. And I would go home to Australia for vacation, so I would just tell my boss, "Hey, I'm going to be gone for, 2 months over the summer," and he'd be like, "All right."
But it was a good gig
it was a good gig for being
university.
In school. Yeah, for sure. But we delivered to a lot of different people, and Christmas Eve, one year I didn't go home, and we're delivering. And it might not have been Christmas Eve, like maybe we're closed on Christmas Eve, but it's whatever the closest like to Christmas that you could get and still be working. It's night, it's winter, it's cold, delivering to this like really sketchy apartment complex kind of place that you're like expecting to get robbed. So you do the usual like, and this was before, it's right when people were starting to get cell phones, but everyone didn't have them. So like some of the drivers had them.
Yeah.
Some of them didn't. I didn't at that.
No, you didn't.
I didn't at that
until
time.
Later.
Yeah, I didn't at that time. So like if you're delivering somewhere that you think you're going to get robbed, you kind of have a little routine. You like go and look for anybody who looks like they don't belong there. If there's someone weird, you pull around the block and you come back in and check it again. And then if it's still really sketchy, you leave and you go find a payphone somewhere, like somewhere safe, like outside a diner or a gas station or whatever, and you call the person and do whatever. So,
well, what do you do when you call the person?
You call them and you just say, "Hey, how's it going?" Or make sure there's a real person there and that you're actually gonna. And sometimes you'll just call from the store before you leave. But anyway,
yeah.
So this was kind of one of those apartment complexes where you always felt like something was going to happen. And there's a lot of those, maybe all of them. But so I go and I do the check and it looks all right. So I pull up and there's this really seedy looking guy comes out and I'm like, oh man, this could not go well. And he's drunk off his ass. And so he comes out and he reaches in his pocket and I'm like, could be money, could be something else. But he pulls out a $50 bill and he gives it to me. And I was like, oh, you know what? I'm really sorry I can't make change for that. Because we didn't carry, it was like a $10 pizza.
On purpose.
Yeah.
And he's like, you don't have to make change. And I was like, man, I can't take $40 in tip. And he's like, he got really upset, like that I wouldn't take his generosity. And you could tell like he just got paid. He was just like,
he was flushed.
He was flushed. And he's like, it's Christmas. I want you to have it. I want to do something good for somebody on Christmas. And he said a bunch of other stuff along in that vein. But it was just basically that like, he's like, I've got money and I want to be generous, and you're the guy that I'm going to be generous to. And like, so I was like, I can give you 20 back. Like, and he's like, no, you keep the whole thing. And like, here's this guy who probably didn't make as much money as I did delivering pizza, but he was like so adamant that he wanted to do something generous for somebody that he felt like needed it or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah. You're delivering pizza, right? I mean,
yeah, but it was just cool, and you would have these really weird mix of things that you would meet these people who were so like in their own way fucked up but still generous and awesome and like had good hearts.
Yeah.
And then you would meet people,
Or maybe he done really bad things at some point, and this is like him.
Who knows? Or maybe he was just drunk and he'd wake up the next morning and be like, "What the hell
happened
to my
$50? Right. Yeah, I had a 50 in here.
Right. But even so, like, and just that was always really interesting. Just the diversity of types of people,
and how you happen to encounter them, right?
Yeah.
Well, you always encountered them at their home.
No, but I mean, they could have been not drunk that day, or they could have been high on something else, like who. Or they could have been a day where, they got, there was something bad happening and they just wanted pizza. Because pizza's like comfort food, right?
Yeah. And also the places that were like probably not so great to live in, like they didn't always have the worst people. Like some of the biggest assholes were not in the bad parts of town.
Yeah.
So I think that was good. That was a really good like cross section of human nature for me.
Wow.
You enjoy delivering pizza.
I did.
And
I really did.
You still talk about it to this day in a way that like it's almost romanticized, like
because it's
just about the interaction with people and all different kinds of people. And
do you know that I used to deliver flowers for a while?
No.
For probably one summer, I was going to school. I was working at Starbucks, and I decided they needed a driver, so through friends, I delivered flowers for like a summer on Saturdays. And it was like crazy. I don't know how it was compared to pizza because it wasn't as shady as that. It was in the day for the most part.
Sure.
And it's flowers.
And it was flowers, but you know what? You know who gets flowers? Fucking dead or sick people. The majority are dead and sick people. So I ended up spending a lot of time in churches, funerals, and hospitals.
Oh, I
and
see.
that, because right, you think flowers, love, but
lovers.
Lovers. Who do you love? People that are dead or dying, which is fucked up, right? Because I always see myself like, give someone flowers, do something nice for someone when they're alive, not when they're dying, not when they're dead.
Exactly.
Like, who gives a shit? If I die, you guys send me flowers. Your flowers can suck it, right? Because who?
It's apparently what my mother.
It's really annoying. Like you think about it, I get the gesture, I get the whole respect, whatever, but. Damn, that's not.
Yeah, I always thought that was weird. When people would like please send flowers to this funeral home as
Well,
whatever your donation.
Because people want to send flowers, right? But if
Yeah, but
if you
that's
love
why-
somebody, like you probably want to give them flowers yourself, right? Like I'm not going to send the flower guy most of the time
Yeah.
to give.
I've
flowers.
sent flowers to like girlfriends, right? Like that's different, right? 'Cause that's
Ben,
but
have
you're
you
alive.
ever sent me flowers? Ever?
Oh no, I haven't sent. I think I might have given you flowers once.
But did he ever send you pizza?
No.
No.
And he never sent me flowers.
I would probably.
I have given you flowers in person, I think once, maybe, because you were so shocked that you wanted to know, like, if I had done something bad.
I did. I don't remember that. I used to like it when you would leave little notes on my car.
Mm-hmm.
That was cute.
Yeah, when we live in the same house, though, it seems less necessary.
You can leave me notes. It's a big house.
No, I can, yeah.
We're cutting to the surface here. We're getting all this fluff is coming to the
Yeah.
side now.
No holds barred.
No
for
holds
sure.
barred.
No, but you always romanticize pizza delivery for.
You've told me some great stories, and this was a new one. And it seems like every time I talk to you about pizza delivery, it's a whole new fucking story.
Yeah, no, there's.
That's
I mean, there's.
amazingly different and crazy too. Wait. What happened? I was waiting for the car to flip.
Oh yeah, so
Ooh.
everyone's waiting for the car. So there's a through central Albuquerque. There's 2 one-way streets, lead and coal, and the lights are timed on those. So if you're headed in one direction or the other, one runs east, one runs west, and if you're headed in one direction or the other, if you go the speed limit, you basically hit all the lights.
Yeah.
So you're just going 30 miles an hour, which is the speed on there, and the lights turning green ahead of you, green, and so you can be going 30 miles an hour, and you're 20 feet away from the light and it just goes green, so you just come through it. So you're not necessarily stopping like you would at most lights. And
You're cruising all the way through, basically.
Yeah, and so if anybody runs the red light the other way,
Which would never happen in Albuquerque.
no, it's very uncommon for people to just run. And it's not the LA style of red light where it's like you're turning and 2 cars go through on the red. This is the light goes green and 1, 2, 3. Some dude's just coming through on the red. No worries.
I seen that today.
Yeah, it happened
Yeah,
to me
no.
today too.
No, and what I like, the thing about Albuquerque drivers is they're not particularly like aggressive. They don't drive super fast. They're just incredibly careless, like just not paying attention. So anyway, it was pretty common for people to run lights. So you would get, if you drove that street for delivery a lot, because you'd drive it like 30 times a night.
Yeah.
You would get in the point where even if you were timing the lights, you'd give yourself a little space so you could see.
Who's running the red?
More like defensive driving.
Yeah, and
Oh,
you knew
absolutely.
if someone blew
You
the
have
light,
to, yeah.
you were going to hit them at 30 miles an hour. So of course, not everyone drives like that.
Yeah.
So anyway, going down, the usual thing that the car in front of me is doing that. Like they're the lead car basically. So light goes green. Right as they enter the intersection, another Ford Ranger pickup truck is running the red the other way, and the car in front of me is some little low slung car. So the Ranger hits it, T-bones it, stands up on its end, like flips up
On his nose.
on its nose, and then flips over. Like
Holy shit!
like
You
a,
got to watch it.
like
all.
a pinwheel. Yeah,
It's right
like
in
a
front of
pinwheel.
him.
Wow.
And that part of the road there, it goes out of sight. Like there's a hill, so it basically stands up like a pinwheel and spins
Down the
and
hill.
goes out of sight down the hill. And I'm like, okay, this is not good. Like this is really bad, because sometimes you'd see a fender bender and you might not stop for it.
That's you had to hit it pretty hard to be like
Yeah,
pick
yeah.
that up, right? And, do
And
that
so
kind
I pulled around next to the, so everybody luckily behind us
of paying attention.
stopped. I pulled around next to the driver that got T-boned, and I was like, hey, are you okay? And they're like, yeah, I'm fine. They hit the front of my car. It's all right. So I pull around down the side street and jump out.
He was okay.
He said he was okay. The guy who was in the car that was up on the street, not in the Ranger.
But he
That's-
was,
Yeah, yeah,
he
yeah.
was more concerned about the car
Yeah.
that flipped.
Yeah,
At that
well,
point.
I-
T-bone, like you're getting hit from the left, right?
Yeah, it hit the front of his car. It didn't hit him in the door.
Okay, I
in
was
the
like, God damn, that
passenger
would like kill you right there. almost.
compartment. Yeah, so the Ranger. So I was like, okay, I'll go around and see how this other person is. And people are coming. Like the noise was loud enough that people are coming out of their houses to see what's going on.
Yeah.
And the truck has landed upside down on its roof and slid down, and it's crushed just enough that you can't open the doors. And there's this girl inside there, and she's freaking out. She's like flailing and banging. And they tell you not to move people who have been in accidents, but like she was already moving herself quite enough, and she just wanted to get out of there. And there's fluid leaking out of the.
Oh shit!
It was just the radiator, it turns out.
Right.
But there's fluid
It's-
leaking out
it
of
must
the.
But you don't know.
It
You
must
don't
have
know,
been scary,
right?
right?
Yeah,
Like,
she
you're
can't
just-
tell where it is. So I'm like kneeling in this puddle of fluid talking to her, and there's other people, and some of the bystanders are starting to freak out because there's
Fluid.
Yeah.
fluid, and she's freaking out inside the cab. So and I had this metal flashlight, and so I'm like, get away! Like I'm gonna break out the window, get out, get to the back, to the other side of the cab. And I'm like yelling at her. She finally figures it out and she goes. And I just bust out the window. Busting out a car window is really hard. Like all this bullshit where people like punch through it. That's not happening.
Not like TV.
I had to hit it like 3 or 4 times with a metal flashlight to get through it.
Unless you had some little bit of blue meth.
Yeah, maybe some blue meth. This was in the days before the blue meth.
It was the days before the blue meth came on too.
So yeah, break it out and just let her out, and then she's fine, and she starts going into shock on the side of the road, and then the paramedics show up.
And was she okay physically? I mean,
she seemed to be. She was moving around and moving.
She probably had
well, I'm sure there's some
pain.
Oh no, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But again, like she was moving around so much and freaking out so much inside the cab that I figured it was better to get her out of there.
Yeah, she was in one piece, obviously, right?
Yeah, and the paramedics showed up and everybody and checked her out, and the cop showed up and I was like, "Do you need a statement from me?" And he's like, "Not really." He's like, "I can tell what happened."
Yeah, I got a pizza.
So I got pizza. Yeah, basically. So I got back in my car and.
Were you on your way back to the store?
No, I was headed out on a delivery. Yeah, and so I called my boss and I was like, "Hey, is there someone else to take these?" And he's like, "Not really. They're going to be just as late if you bring them back." So I was like, "All right." So I went and like my sweater, I've still got the sweater. So antifreeze apparently eats cotton. So like the sleeve of that was a cotton poly blend, and so. Like all the cotton is eaten away, but the
and you still have that same sweater.
I still have that same sweatshirt.
It's his camping sweater.
It's my camping sweater, but it's got one sleeve that
probably
that purple,
it's
that
like
purple,
waffle.
That purple waffle one.
I think I have seen it then.
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the fucking crazy people, drivers. I would say I wouldn't limit it to drivers. That's
it's not limited to drivers, as and
you're a witness because you've lived here and you were born and raised here and you've been here for like 20 years. And I thought like all the places I had traveled in the States, which I haven't been to, like probably less than half the states. I used to think that Arizona and Phoenix were like the worst drivers. And they just felt like they were like crazy because I used to drive behind them and I could see them in the lane and they would stay in the lane, but they'd be kind of like going left, kind of veering.
Is that just because they're old?
I don't know. To me, it's what I noticed, right? And like Texas was a little bit different, but for the most part, you know, they stayed in the lane. They had these crazy U-turns. But when I got to New Mexico, holy shit!
Our drivers are completely unpredictable.
It was a whole nother story, a whole nother game.
Completely
like, what's
unpredictable.
Going on?
Maximum
U-turns out of nowhere. One time I was driving down the street. I forgot where I was going. Somewhere on the west side, and like there's this dude in the middle of the fucking dirt field just doing donuts, kicking up a fucking storm,
just by himself, no one else.
And I was like, wow, that looks really fun. I'm stuck in like behind a red light here, and like I'm looking around to see what people are doing, and some of them look, but for the most part they're just like driving.
Ignore it.
They didn't care, right?
So I go to I had an appointment with somebody either for a job or something, and I arrive and I'm like, I'm late because there was this car on Yale on fire. Like, on fire. You have a good fire story, too. On fire. On fire, and nobody stops. Nobody, like, they see it. I mean, I don't know how you possibly couldn't. Nobody stops to offer help, or can I call somebody, or, like, call 911. So, of course, I stopped. I might have had a cell phone at that point. I must have, because there wouldn't be any reason to stop. And called 911, made sure everyone was okay, but I'm like, sorry, I'm late because I had to stop because this car was on fire.
And was there anyone in the car?
Yes, but the person got out. The person had gotten out. And they were just looking at their car up in flames. But people believe you when you get to your destination and say, I'm late because this crazy shit happened.
Yeah, just the first day I was here. Was it the first day, second day you were here? The first day after.
On this trip?
Yeah, on this trip. That guy was walking out in the middle of the road. He was on the median.
He was a pedestrian.
He looked high as a kite. And, like, you know what? Not high as a kite, I don't necessarily hold that against people. Like, you know, I've been there. Right. It happens,
it's
right?
Cool.
Like, it's cool.
He was not happy about it.
But he wasn't happy. He looked really angry.
Also, he was yelling at all the drivers and...
That was the scary part. Like,
causing
he was standing on the median and the light went green, and he basically stepped into our lane and walked directly towards us.
He stepped into an intersection.
On
one of the major intersections, Yale and Central.
But all the drivers were like, oh yeah. Everyone just waited for him to clear, and then...
Like, what were they going to do, right?
Ben locks the door.
So
But he's walking straight at us.
Yeah, and he pulls something out of his bag. I thought he was going to pull out a gun.
Pocket. Yeah.
That was scary.
It's like a piece of paper, he throws it at us.
He was angry. Then he like kind of made a quick right turn.
Yeah, but as we like a block down, all of a sudden there's a cop car like hauling down. Someone had obviously called on him.
They were
Well,
quick.
we called on him.
We called on him too, but the cop was already showing up before.
I wonder if he was already doing some crazy shit before we even saw him.
Yeah, I'm
Like,
sure.
Yeah.
He probably hadn't been saving it up for us. No.
Yeah.
And interestingly enough, that was near Papa John's.
You can't. Oh no, those people used to always be
Well, you had one.
regular episodes.
What was the car on fire?
No, it was an RV. Yeah.
Or an RV on fire in front of the store.
Like a meth lab.
Well, maybe.
Not in
Maybe.
Albuquerque. I think it was because of all the meth.
Yeah. No, we're like just in this. Everything doesn't have to be about pizza, but this one is.
Well, they're good stuff.
Yeah. I had no. So my first. I want to go actually back. So my first experience with the fine motorists of New Mexico was a car on fire.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, in northern New Mexico. I think I've told you this before. So I'm driving down. I'm 17 years old. I'm driving down to go to college, and I see, just like you said, there's a pickup truck pulled over to the side of the freeway, flames coming out of the hood, and two guys just standing there looking at it because they didn't have a fire extinguisher. So what are they going to do?
How the fuck do cars be catching on fire?
I
all the
don't
time?
know. It happens all the time.
I feel like if that ever happened, something was really wrong with my car, and I shouldn't have been driving it in the first place, and it's all my fault because that should be preventable.
We don't have laws that make you ensure that your car is drivable.
No.
Like road safe.
So what happened? Did
Anyway.
you guys?
So I had, because I like to be over-prepared, I happened to have a fire extinguisher in my car. And I knew this. I was like, oh, I've got a fire extinguisher. I can help these guys. And so I pull over and I jump out and I like put out the fire, which is awesome because I'd never used a fire extinguisher. So I'm
You
like,
were
two
kinda
things.
psyched.
So you're like, this is awesome.
Put out the fire. And then it proceeds to get very weird. And I'm like, I wish I did not help these people. Because they're these two like hillbilly kind of guys, like probably just northern New Mexico locals at the time, but they seem very strange to me. And they're talking, and then they turn around and start talking to me, and the truck just starts rolling away. In the background. But like, no kidding. They're just like, oh yeah, where are you coming from? Whatever.
It's
and
such
the car
a Breaking Bad
rolls away
moment.
and takes off. And then one of them turns around and looks and sees it and starts running. And right then a police cruiser like shows up with its lights on. The truck rolls. It rolls down, rolls into a ditch, and rolls up on the curb. And the cop gets out and is like, what's going on here? Like, show me your hands. Who are you guys?
Oh, shit.
And I was just like, hey, I had a fire extinguisher in my hand. And I'm like, hey, I don't know these guys. I just stopped to put out the fire. And he's like, you get out of here. So I was like,
Shit.
done.
You're like, maybe I
Wow.
shouldn't have helped those guys.
Right.
So like, was the fire holding it in place? Like why?
I don't know. It was just balanced. But it was really like, it was
fire was
literally
Maybe
like,
it was the, like...
it was like a shot. If you framed those two guys, like I was standing there talking to him, and in the background I could just see the truck move away, like by itself, and then the guy turned and looked at it and started running after it.
Wow, that's crazy.
But it was ridiculous, and you could tell the cop was like, "What, kid?" Because I was like, literally, I'm sure I looked like a high school kid because I was 17.
Yeah.
It was like, whatever you're doing here, kid, get out of
It's
here.
like, get out. I've been looking for these guys all day.
Maybe, with my Subaru station wagon, so I jumped back in and drove away.
See, and like that story sounds amazing, but for some reason I think that happens probably
It happens all the
today
time.
somewhere.
That's when no
In
one
New
stops,
Mexico.
right? It's like
That's
you stop
why-
and then suddenly it gets weird.
Yeah, no one stops.
I don't actually think anything bad would have happened to me. Probably they would have asked me for a ride, and I would have been uncomfortable, and I would have had a weird ride to give them.
'Cause that's what
I think that's where it was. That's what I thought about it later. I think that's where it was headed.
That's what you meant by weird. Like
Yeah.
they started being friendly. Like,
Right,
you know,
way too friendly. Yeah. Like not in a bad way, but just like
They were fucked.
Yeah.
Their car was on
Right.
fire right now. They ain't going anywhere.
right. Well, and now it's covered with fire extinguisher crap too, so it's really not going anywhere.
Yeah. Wow.
Except that it rolled away, so it was good. It was going
Going that
somewhere.
But not very far. Holy shit.
Yeah.
I didn't go explore too much in northern New Mexico, but it definitely felt a little bit different up there, you know?
Oh, it's all different regionally. The south is different from
Yeah.
the middle area where Albuquerque is different from the north.
All I remember is meeting what's that place like Chimayo or something up?
Chimaya,
is that
at
the
the
name?
church.
Is there a city up there, a town?
It's a very small
It's
town,
town.
but there's a church that people make a religious pilgrimage to. It's
So there was a guy that I met in Santa Fe one time. He was drinking at the bar, and I think he was from Chimayo. He was talking about, oh, we got 10 feet of snow, you know, over there.
Probably.
He was just a dick. I was like, oh, where's that? So I know in New Mexico. I was like, yeah, I'm from LA. I'm from LA, dude. I was like,
Right.
oh. Like,
Don't tell people you're
Yeah,
from
don't
California.
tell anybody
You've
you're
probably
from
figured
California.
that out pretty quickly.
it took me a couple months before I figured that out. But at one point, I was like, I don't even care. Fuck you guys. You guys, yeah, people hate LA. You hate LA.
They hate California.
What would you describe your feelings of Los Angeles before you moved there? Because
I
they
don't
weren't very
remember.
friendly. I could.
It's very convenient.
Right? And, no, and
Very
she made like a face. Like I was like,
Well, I didn't know anything about LA.
I know, but what,
Except the horrible slanders that New Mexicans tell about it.
People hate people from people here hate people from California.
Everyone
hate
hates
California
Just on principle.
only because we have rich. Oh, why they do they hate them? Because they have rich Californians coming into the state and buying up all the land.
Really?
Lots.
That's the excuse.
Yeah, but what's the real reason? Why did you not like LA? Like, what?
I think probably all the. I mean, like anybody, the prejudice against just how.
California,
how fake it is, how we see it on TV. It's just
Hollywood.
it's just like Beverly Hills and Hollywood, and it's not real, you know. And I think that a lot of people have that experience going there. We were very fortunate to not have that at all, and I think
because you actually lived there. You didn't just visit, right? It's a little bit different.
Well, sure. I've heard horror stories about people going there and being like, "Oh, people are so fake," and I don't like it. But I mean, surprisingly, we arrived and
you guys moved into like a yuppie granola area.
We went to the most expensive yuppie area that you could possibly go to in LA.
Yeah, just by coincidence, because that's where my job was.
Yeah.
So, like, that's where they put the office.
Fortunate.
Right.
You were very fortunate, I would say.
Yeah, if we had to choose a neighborhood, we probably would have thought we might have wanted to live there, but it would have been too expensive, so we probably would have lived somewhere else. If that
you would have backed off way from there because
probably
no one goes there because it's just so expensive, right?
But it was because that's where the office was, and
And I actually doing research. It wasn't.
I love how you changed your tune though.
It wasn't.
It was great.
Well,
she didn't want to move back. She didn't want to move there, and then she didn't want to move back.
I admitted it, right?
Yeah,
like
I
was.
Give me credit.
I fell into the whole idea of just this fake ass shit, and people are just always in traffic, and
that part's true.
It's just lots of money, and it's just lots of wankers, and they're all just
there's a few of those.
They're all just sitting around in cars. Yeah, there's plenty of those, but there's plenty of those everywhere. And also, like, we were fortunate enough to. I really didn't interact with those people. You know, we didn't have to have those people in our lives.
Well, I think that people don't understand about California, and maybe just major cities in general, like bad things happen, but the ratio of that happening because there's so many people, like accidents happen. Like you guys talk about driving, the drivers in LA are really good, but there's still accidents, right?
Sure.
And
but there's so many people.
Right.
That's
my point. But
here we don't have an excuse, right?
There's no excuse. You have no people. 10 lanes open.
There's a straight line of like traffic. There's nothing on the road. It's all straight. It's all open. So, you can see everywhere.
And I think the thing is that people they can't comprehend that this volume of people, 1 million people here in Albuquerque, is multiplied times 20 in Southern California. And like, yeah, but for the most part, everyone's really cool because you have to be cool to get along to live in such a densely populated area, right?
Right. Yeah.
And then such close quarters, and then such
like
close
if you're an
areas.
asshole, everyone like turns around and says you're an asshole.
Right. You're stigmatized.
You're stigmatized.
Sorry.
Pick up that dog shit because you're an asshole, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Where here, like people do it, like no
one wants to get involved.
Everyone does it. No one gets involved. Like it's different living in some place where you have a more dense population and a lot of people.
Well,
society,
and you feel
societal things change.
Yeah, you feel a lot more accountable, right? Yeah. Like if you live in a city where everyone's looking at you and there's tons of people walking around with their dogs and picking up dog shit, like you're accountable.
That's all everyone does nowadays. It's all about just picking up dog shit.
You're accountable, right? You're accountable to be a responsible driver. You're accountable to being just a responsible citizen.
Like I'm sure there's plenty of people that are high as a kite, like the guy I was seeing on the street the other day, walking into the middle of the median. But you know what? They're probably sitting at home somewhere else watching Netflix.
In LA. I mean, they definitely have the same. But I think you captured it very well when you said like proportionally, right?
Yeah, the ratio, right?
So there's there are plenty of guys in LA who are high as a kite and doing that. But there's so many other people that like the majority of people that you meet
are not like
that.
Where here it seems every day.
Well, and it's part of that here though is that we have tended to always live in the busiest, like along the central corridor.
That's true.
So that's where you're going to have the most people who are
higher
a
concentration,
little bit weird, mental illness, homeless people, that sort of stuff. I mean that, and also more traffic, more So if you live like in a suburb and your kid's school's in the suburb and that's all you hang out, like the people that I know from Albuquerque don't have these experiences that I have been telling stories about, right? So it's also not fair to cast the whole city that way.
True.
But I think it's also not fair to cast LA as just assholes with tons of money who only care about money. And that was, I think we were very fortunate.
But they get that reputation here is because we're experiencing Californians who are just coming in and buying a bunch of land and like they're keeping it for whatever purposes, but they're not really doing anything with it.
There's a bunch of land to like do whatever you want, though.
Yeah, but most of them are vacation homes or.
Yeah, but I think there's development and that sort of stuff. I think there's this weird thing about New Mexico that it doesn't like success. Like you can be successful, but don't be too successful because then
there's a weird thing about
there's
a weird thing about New Mexicans that don't like change.
Well, that's not that weird though. Like. Most places don't like change.
Most people don't like change. That's I think it's a natural human
reaction. Look at like the suburb that we lived in, Santa Monica. There was a trailer park, and people wanted to, like whoever owned the trailer park wanted to sell it or had sold it, and it was going to be developed into, like a shopping center and living space and all this sort of stuff. And there was the same kind of backlash against that in Santa Monica that you would get here if somebody was trying to develop.
Oh no, because it was just a sad little trailer park, people standing outside.
Yeah, but there were protests and there were people going to the Santa Monica City Council.
We have Centinela trying to go in on the west side, and it's like outrage, and it's people from all over the city who are like saying, "Don't develop out there. We don't want any development. We don't have any infrastructure. We don't have we can't sustain it, right?"
But that's probably a good thing, right? That's probably a valid criticism. Like I was kind of talking about people who are just opposed to change, period, not opposed to change for a good reason.
That might be a good reason.
It's like someone bought your trailer park and they're going to build on top of it. Like, yeah, that sucks, but there's not really like, stuff happens, particularly in a big city. But that's the kind of opposition you get here to development in downtown along Central. Like people are just like, don't change it.
People are like, don't change it, but people are also like, we don't trust you. Which is fair enough because we get screwed over all the time.
Yeah, well,
I see motherfuckers in New Mexico, huh?
So we don't know.
Mostly politicians,
but
not
always developers.
All of the above.
Yeah,
everyone.
But people also don't pay attention, right? They like ignore things, and then all of a sudden they're angry.
Sure,
because,
but that's because
I saw that stuff was happening here, but I didn't pay attention to it, and now like a year later, I find out what it is, and I feel like I'm getting screwed. It's like open your eyes, get involved.
Yeah.
Yeah, but even you, I mean, you can say that now, like you were involved at one point, but it's like you get tired, you get lazy, you move away, you come back.
Yeah, for sure.
You just don't, you're not getting involved now.
No, absolutely.
And there's a lot of development.
But I'm also probably not going to be like,
how
dare these people do some development? I'm going to be like, well, I wasn't paying attention, I guess. But anyway, that's a whole different, that's a whole separate podcast.
Development and farming.
Yeah.
Oh. We don't know enough. I don't know enough about it here.
Development or farming?
Both.
I thought you want to do a farming podcast too.
Because over here is going to retire and be a farmer.
Don't worry, I'll beep that out.
Next week.
Because Ben over here is going to retire and be a farmer.
Ben has a card with someone drew a penis in his hand.
Shit.
Okay, so out of context, that sounds...
I know. We'll scan that one up and we'll use it as
I've already scanned it.
Well, that'll be the I have to have a picture for every what's it called?
Podcast.
That's gonna be the one for this one. Farmer Ben with the fucking penis in his hand, like a pitchfork, another one. And it's like a dual penis, like it's got like a shadow penis on the side. Because at first I thought it was something else, but I was like, why is it two? I was like, I don't get it. God damn, it looks like he put a lot of effort in it, but he was kind of shaky too. It's kind of like the lines aren't straight.
John just knows me well,
That shit's classic, bro. That should be your Facebook profile picture for sure.
I was gonna put it up there until you mentioned that it looked like I was. I should still put it up there.
Put it up there. No one's gonna. Maybe
no one's gonna say anything. Oh, you better.
Oh no, someone's gonna
better
say.
believe he'll be the
I'll
first.
just do a
one.
call out to it. I'll do like a.
I promise. If no one else says it, then I'm just the only person that sees a penis there. You know.
What does it say about you?
Whatever it does, it says it. It's gonna say it, but we don't know until you make it your profile picture.
Ooh, experiment.
I was gonna make it my background picture, like the whole. But it's
it'll be
vertical
better
instead of horizontal. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's
No, for sure.
pic.
So, all right, you guys, we got like a few minutes left. Is there anything else you want to say before we wrap this one up today? Because I think we did pretty good considering.
I feel like that
Ben
went
likes
really
banging on the
fast.
table. That's what I noticed when
Oh,
he gets
did you?
drunk. It's
What?
okay. This Jameson's really good.
Yeah.
I think it's better than the normal one. I'm
I
gonna
feel
have
like
to-
that.
It's not gonna work so well.
Yeah, I need to uncork the thing a little bit.
You had to take the lid off.
Let's do it. That's good.
It's close.
Nina, anything you'd like to say? I'm glad you participated. I'm glad it was both of you.
I feel like that went really fast.
It does. I told you it does.
Yeah,
no one believes
no,
me.
I know.
Once you start getting rolling,
I had so many more stories.
Let's just roll out another one.
we'll say goodbye to this one because I tried the extended ones with drinking. Doesn't work out.
No.
That's the ixnay on the fucking drinking and
So we're being cut off both
both
metaphorically and literally.
because that shit doesn't. I don't remember the last hour and a half of the last one. Like, I don't even know what. I can't even listen to it yet because it's so out of control. And apparently it kept on going when I left. So I'm trying to like just listen to where I left, and I couldn't even hear it anymore. I don't want to hear this anymore. This is garbage. So,
Right.
but I'm not as drunk today.
We'll see if the listeners of this one agree with your review of your own previous podcast.
Yeah, we'll see about that one. So, Ben,
Right?
with anything you'd like to say?
No, I'm glad that you were here with us
I'm glad
this week.
it was fun.
It's been a fun week, and we'll have to.
Albuquerque missed you and want.
It's nice. You know what I
enjoyed
like the
having you
most
back.
is like I come back and like everyone gets together, like people that I knew, right?
Yeah.
Like here.
Well, and I'm serious that your coming back was kind of a catalyst. Like,
No, I know. I believe.
I don't
you
know if
said
I would have
that.
had a party. My probably would have been small, but it's like
You're
it
like,
was
oh.
it was a good reason to get everyone together.
Yeah, and
The
then,
last Flickr birthday party was smaller.
2 years ago, yeah.
Yeah. But no, it was a
Still
good
good.
excuse to have everybody come out. And it's a landmark year. You're 40.
landmark.
Landmark. High water.
High water.
I know. I'm supposed to get 40 more, right?
Are you?
How do people become 80? Like, I don't even
Yeah,
know. What do you do
that's
for the next
insane.
40 years?
Drink.
Oh, man.
Drink.
I know.
That'll cut your lifespan in half.
That's what I
Don't
hear.
drink so much.
This podcast sponsored by Jameson Gold Reserve.
That's the radio voice we've been waiting for all night. It came out finally. That's right. Someone told me like you guys start recording commercials. Like, dude, no one's gonna sponsor me. I was like, people that drink Jameson.
Whatever you're drinking that night.
Yeah.
Normally it's not. Yeah, it's like some cheap wine from
Oh.
Trader Joe's or something. Yeah.
That's a problem.
Yeah, no, thanks to Amanda for this one. She'll probably never hear this. But.
Yeah, right. All right, everybody. Thanks for listening this week, and we'll say goodbye. I think you can subscribe on Stitcher and podcast. Oh, Stitcher and iTunes. The Jameson's starting to kick in now. See, this way it can't go on for 3 hours because it ends up really bad at the end. You can find me at eddyizm.com and eddyizm at Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And these guys remain anonymous.
Bye.
All right, say goodbye, everybody. See you guys next week.
Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.